Please rewind this cassette.
Hey guys, welcome to Box Office Addict, my weekly podcast where I talk about the weekend numbers and just where the film industry is at right now using Box Office Mojo. Box Office Mojo, Mojo. All right, this is a big weekend, guys. This is one that I've been waiting for a while. The opening weekend of Disney's Frozen 2, which is the follow-up to the most successful animated film of all time, if you don't count Jon Favreau's The Lion King. So, as you remember, a few years ago, Frozen came out, and I don't even think Disney knew what they had on their hands with that film. I think they thought it would do good. I think their high estimates had to be somewhere in the, $800 million range. I don't think they knew that Let It Go was going to become such a big hit. And not only that becoming such a big hit, but all the other songs by Robert Lopez, and I think that just pushed that movie to another place. I mean, it was one of those movies where the opening day was decent, and then along the weekend it gained more traction, and then through the holidays it just turned into a phenomenon. It's one of the highest grossing films in Japan. That film made like $1.2 billion worldwide. Here we are with Frozen 2, which was very hyped. It's not getting nearly the same level of praise as the first film did. The reviews aren't there. I don't think the songs are going to be as popular, but there's still a lot of hype just because Frozen is such a big cultural phenomenon. So Frozen 2 had a great opening. It opened better than Toy Story 4, and I think it's only below like Finding Dory and The Incredibles 2 when it comes to animated opening weekends. But before we get to Frozen 2, let's break down some of the other films here real quick, and then we'll get right to it. So, Doctor Sleep is at $62 million worldwide. It's still not breaking even yet with that $50 million budget. Terminator Dark Fate had a horrible drop this weekend, 71%, which is fucking... I mean, this is a really embarrassing performance for this film domestically. The fact that this film is barely at 60 million and it's almost out of theaters. I mean, this won't make 65 million. That's bad. 250 million worldwide on a $185 million budget. What do you have to say about this that hasn't already been said over the last couple weeks? So we'll just ignore going into more about that. Just horrible performance. Zombieland double taps at 115 million worldwide. Parasite, which I have a review coming out for this week. I know you guys have been jonesing for a review now the last few weeks. I will be reviewing Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. Jojo Rabbit is still in... I guess you could say it's a wide release at 787 theaters, but $16 million domestically, which actually isn't that bad. Although this is becoming a big Oscar hopeful for some reason. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is at $108 million domestically. Let's talk about Joker real quick. Joker is still killing it at the box office. It did have a big drop this weekend of 48%, but it's been out a while. It's at $326 million domestic. And it's at $1,036 million worldwide, which puts it right below Aquaman and Dark Knight Rises as the highest grossing DC film worldwide. Now, it has made more internationally than Dark Knight Rises, but Dark Knight Rises had a much bigger domestic total. Although I think it can still pass it, but it would have to make like another 50 million. There's also a lot of talk of the Joker getting several Oscar nominations. I'm reading now that people are saying it could be nominated for cinematography and so on. So we'll have to wait and see on that. It seems like the industry is really responding to Joker as much as the general public. Or maybe that's the film they're going to put in there to win over the general public. So the Oscars isn't just The Irishman, Parasite, Marriage Story, all these films that maybe not everybody saw. Oh, fuck. My virus protection expired. I have this pop-up. I have to clear my computer. Sorry about that. Charlie's Angels continues to be a disaster. 61% drop. The word of mouth did not pick up after its opening. It's at 43 million worldwide with a $50 million budget. It doesn't look like this film is going to be breaking even anytime soon. I don't even know if it'll make 20 million domestically, since it's already at 14 million and it's at 3 million this weekend. Those are pretty bad numbers. Midway continues to be a disappointment with 43 mil domestic, and you have Sam Mendes' 1917 coming out soon, which has just opened a very high critical acclaim for the way it looks like one continuous shot through World War I. 21 Bridges, don't give a fuck. Let's talk about A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, one of the better reviewed mainstream movies of the year. A film that looks like it's going to do well. I'd say this is a disappointing opening at 13 million. You figure with Tom Hanks, the Mr. Rogers thing, maybe this was marketing. A 13. Now, I think this movie will have decent word of mouth, but from a filmmaker who hasn't had much success with Diaries of a Teenage Girl and Can You Ever Forgive Me, which were both very critically acclaimed but didn't really blow up at the box office. Same thing here. This is unfortunate. I like the sentimentality of this movie. I like that it's not pretentious. I like that it's formatted the way it is. But yeah, 13.2 million. I figure a decent opening would have been like, 23 million or 25 million. This is a modest opening for a modest movie. And they're going to have to rely on international for this to make anywhere around 100 million, unless the word of mouth is just phenomenal and this holds great, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So this is a disappointment. I'm not happy that this film didn't open better. I wish it had opened better. It's just maybe it didn't release well within the competition. You're releasing this the same weekend as Frozen 2 and Ford v Ferrari, which... I'm kind of have to eat my words here. I thought Ford v Ferrari was going to hold a lot better. That's what I said. Like, this film's going to have great word of mouth. Had a 50% drop this weekend. So the word of mouth was not as good as I thought. Maybe it was a little bit more front-loaded than I expected. Still not bad. But I made a prediction this film would make like 150 mil domestic, and that doesn't seem to be the case. So I was wrong again. It's like Spider-Man Homecoming. I was wrong every weekend. Sony fucked up here. Bad release. Don't release the movie when Frozen 2 opens and Ford v Ferrari. You think you're doing counter-programming, but you're actually not doing counter-programming because I think you lose a lot of your audience to Frozen 2. So Sony, I think, should have waited till closer to the holidays to release this. We do have Thanksgiving weekend coming up and Christmas, but I think they should have opened A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood maybe like next weekend or the weekend after that, and I think it might have done a little bit better. But it's obvious the hype just wasn't there. Okay, so let's look at Ford versus Ferrari, which had a great opening weekend, a big surprise, $31 million. Had a 50% drop. It's down to $15 million. This is a $97 million film. It's so far made $104 million worldwide. So if this still is able to make something like $250 million $250 million worldwide, I'd still say this is a success. It's a very expensive movie, though. It looks like 100 mil domestic is the top off. If it keeps dropping where it's at, maybe even a little less, but they'll probably keep it around long enough to make 100 million. And like I said, the holidays are coming, so movies aren't going to be dropping as big, and weekday numbers are going to be a lot bigger than normal. So far, 46 million internationally. I don't know everywhere it's open yet. I didn't do my research like I normally do. This is also a long movie. I think if it had been a little shorter, and I'm not saying that as a complaint, it might have played a little bit better. But yeah, I think maybe a lot of the enthusiasts for a movie like this perhaps went on opening weekend that built some hype, and then it's going to slowly fall off as time goes on. But this is technically a Disney film because it's Fox, so Disney's probably wanting this to perform as well as anything else. And it is like one of the main Oscar contenders right now. So they're going to be pushing for that. In fact, I guess this is Disney's biggest Oscar movie they have right now because Netflix has Marriage Story and The Irishman, and Parasite, I believe, is A24, which wouldn't it be cool for A24 to win a Best Picture Oscar? Although, wait, yeah, they did, right? Moonlight, never mind. But here we are with 104 million worldwide. So hopefully this can make 250 million worldwide. We'll have to wait and see on that. But let's get to the big movie of the week. Let's talk about the hype around it. Frozen 2, which has the biggest worldwide opening for any animated film, passing The Incredibles 2, which went on to make 1.2 billion. I'd say at this point you have to say Frozen 2 is a lock for $1 billion. There's just no way for it not to make that since it's already opened to 350 million worldwide, and its estimates went up. There was a lot of people saying this film would open to 165 million, 150 million. Then the original weekend estimates came in at 127. But now it's made 130. And I see all these people online on forums and so on trying to say this is a major underperformance. I don't get that sentiment at all. I don't know how you think. I don't get how you could say a movie opening to 130 million and opening to 350 million worldwide is a disappointment. The movie's going to make $1 billion. I mean, what did you think Frozen 2 was going to make 1.5 billion? Frozen 1 would have not been the success it was without the music. And Disney, I promise you, Disney was not aware that Frozen was going to become such a merchandising thing too, how it sold. They made billions of dollars off the merchandising. I think they made like $5 billion off Frozen. So this film is just extra cash at this point. They don't need this. They didn't even need to make this movie. I think it kind of took away some of the novelty of the first film by making a sequel. But it's Disney. They're not going to ignore money. But to say this is a disappointment, I don't see it. You can maybe make that argument for how Toy Story 4 performed on opening. But I think 130 million is probably what I would have thought, or 140 million, somewhere around there. It's in the estimates of what I've been thinking over the last year. And yeah, let's say it doesn't make as much as the first one. Like, let's say, it doesn't make 1.2 billion. I'm still not going to say it's something where like, wow, they messed up. I mean, this movie's going to make $1 billion. They're going to make at least 200-300 million dollars in profit off this movie. And all the success that Disney's had this year, this is nothing but a win. People just like to spin things and make Disney look negative whenever they can because of the monopoly they have right now and how much success they have. So every time they have a film that isn't the biggest movie ever, people try to spin it into some kind of negative context. But that's really just a defense mechanism that Disney is being so successful with their properties. And I'm not some Disney fanboy. I don't really love it either, but you can't deny it. So when you start denying it, you just you're showing that you're not being transparent with what's going on. So it opened to 130 million in America and Canada. Internationally, we had a 228 million opening, and it's at 358 million worldwide. So by next weekend, this movie should be at about 500 million. There is a big movie coming. Shit, what's about to open really well? Something as God, what's opening next weekend? I feel like such an idiot right now that I don't know this off the top of my head. That's what I pride myself on, that I know things off the top of my head, but right now I can't seem to come up with something. Huh. I'll have to think here for let me go to Deadline real quick. Hold on. Deadline, what's Deadline say? There's something opening. Come on, mama. Come on, baby. What is it? Elsa and Anna Deep Freeze. Katniss Freeze. Katniss is Toon Post Best November Monday. Oh, it had the best Monday of November. Well, I'd like to know what that Monday was. I'm gonna go to the box office portion of Deadline, by the way. Oh wow, Elizabeth Banks to star in Invisible Woman and direct. How is she getting work right now? And I love Elizabeth Banks, but seriously, like I would stay away from her. Oh great, a Fugitive remake. I regret coming here. Jumanji: The Next Level looks to jump past 40 million plus opening. Oh, that's right, Knives Out by Rian Johnson. That's right, which did open to I think today or yesterday. I see it playing at my theater. I might just go see that out of curiosity. There would have been a time in my life I would have been excited for a new Rian Johnson movie, but now I'm like, holy shit. Even with the critics praising it, I'm like, I didn't like his last two movies. Although this Agatha Christie, thing does look fun. And I do like me some Daniel Craig when he's not James Bond, But yeah, Frozen 2 to be near 285 million by next Sunday. Knives Out could reach 30 million, although I think it'll be somewhere in like $25 million opening range. Which is also one of the best reviewed films of the year. Also, maybe going to get some Oscar noms, although I'm not feeling the Oscar love for that movie. God, the Hughes brothers, man. The Menace to Society, it's like it's great, and then everything else has been... I mean, Book of Eli looked nice. So then they moved Godzilla vs. Kong. So yeah, that's what's coming soon is Knives Out, which I will be doing a full analysis of. So what was the Monday for Frozen? Since I don't see it on Box Office Mojo yet. 13 million plus. Okay. So you have to add that. So this is at 143 million domestically, which would put it at, what, 371 million worldwide. So it's going to be at 400 million worldwide before we even get to the end of the week. And then actually, if you think about where it's going to be next week, and I guess this will be well over 500 million worldwide. So like I said, Frozen 2 is on track to make $1 billion. So what did Disney do right here? Well, they waited. They didn't release Frozen 2 like 2 years after the first film. They let time separate them. They built some hype with this. They didn't try to promote this movie the same way, and they didn't try to bank on the music of it so much. They sort of banked on the likability of these characters, which I think was a wise decision. Releasing this right now was good because it's about to play into the holiday season, and this is going to be one of the top holiday movies with most likely Rise of the Skywalker, which is unfortunate, but I see both of these performing very well throughout December. What did Disney do wrong here? Did they leave any money on the table? Perhaps they could have I think it could have had better marketing. I don't think the trailers for Frozen 2 were very good. I think they relied on IP a little bit too much. Maybe worked on the script a little bit more, and obviously have some, more iconic songs. All of that things. I don't think this was a great production. I think, just from reading about it, the movie and what, I think they could have maybe fine-tuned it a little bit better. Brought in a better writer to come punch it up a little bit. Something like that. I definitely think they could have worked on all those elements. I think they didn't leave money on the table, but I do think had this film been better, the movie would end up making more money and make like 1.5 billion worldwide. Still, this very much could make 1.2, 1.3 billion worldwide and pass the original film. I'm going to take a guess here that the budget is somewhere around 200 million, perhaps even more. The first film cost 150 million, which was actually less than Tangled, which is a movie I like more than Frozen. So I'm assuming this cost 225 million. So they're going to be at a break-even point by the end of next weekend. And then from that point on, I would say everything's going to be profit. And a month from now, they will at least have made $100 million. And that's not including merchandising, which they still make money off of with Frozen. So Frozen 2 is the success everybody thought it would be. No real surprise here. This is exactly what everyone expected, that it would do well. I mean, that's the thing. There's not really much analysis on this one. The same way, I'm excited about talking about something like Rise of the Skywalker, because we really don't know how well that's going to do in comparison to the other movies where, I knew Frozen 2 was going to open well. But we'll see how it holds. We'll see how it holds. But this is playing to a younger demographic. So, and a large female audience. Let's see if It Chapter 2 made any more money. At least internationally. Domestically, it's pretty much been where it's at the last couple weeks, with like an extra million. I think it was already at 468 million world, but that ended up being a big like financial disappointment. Like It Chapter 2. Let's see if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has added any money, since it did not get a Chinese release. That movie will end up at 141 mil domestic and probably 372 million worldwide. Had it got the Chinese release, it could have grossed 400 million, but let's check Toy Story 4 real quick and see if it added any foreign. Nope, it's pretty much done too. Although really, people talk about it being disappointment, but 1,073 million worldwide, it's kind of hard to look. Toy Story just has such a huge international pool. I mean, you make the argument every Toy Story film is going to make 600 million internationally. So they have a franchise there that's guaranteed to have $1 billion every time. Same with the Incredibles franchise. Downton Abbey, 96 million. That almost made 100 million. They did real good on that. The Lighthouse is at 10 million. Of course, we have Uncut Gems from the Safdie brothers coming out. Or is it Safdie? Either Safdie or Sadfie. I think it's Safdie. And then Playing with Fire, don't know what the fuck that is, has made 31 million. Oh, that's that firefighter with the kids movie. That's right. The Good Liar from Warner Brothers is at 11 million. Last Christmas is at 27 million. Why would you release a Christmas movie this early and it's already out of theaters? Stupid release schedule for that movie. And to end this up, we'll see where the Addams Family has ended up worldwide, since it's barely going to make 100 million domestically, if that. 176 million worldwide. I think this movie cost like $80 million, didn't it? Everyone's acting like this was some big success. It's really not. Let's see if Gemini Man got anywhere. Gemini Man is at 171 million worldwide with its $138 million budget. So another bomb from Ang Lee, coming off his previous film, which did even worse. Although, no, this is probably worse because they spent a lot more money when I'm thinking about it. All right, there you go. So the story of the weekend, Frozen 2, successful like we all thought it was going to be. Joker continues to be a dominant force at the box office. Ford v Ferrari had a surprisingly steeper drop than expected. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood has a disappointing opening, and everything else is performing about the same where it was at for a while. And Parasite continues to do well at 1.2 million. Oh, Parasite's neon. Okay. And it looks like Parasite's going to make 20 mil domestic, so it's going to be one of the highest grossing foreign films in years. So that's it. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you for episode 91, where we'll be talking about Knives Out from Rian Johnson, and see if he can continue his financial success after Looper and The Last Jedi with this movie, which has a huge ensemble cast, which I think will do huge internationally. The movie that comes to my head recently would have to be Murder on Orient Express, which made $350 million. I think there's a high chance that internationally, just because of the star, especially in somewhere like the UK, I could see Knives Out making $200 million worldwide and being a successful movie. But if you listen to this, you're probably a box office addict yourself, and I hope that your addiction continues.